Okay, good morning, everybody. As we go to the learning some Chassidus on a Sunday morning, it's summertime. It might be a little spotty. The classes that we do the summer. I'm not going to be here next Sunday, and but whatever, we'll do it whenever, as much as we can. That's life, right? We shall survive. Don't worry, you'll shall survive. Same thing. I'm still in the problem. Well, no problem. Whatever. Traveling a little bit. No, I'm leaving to England, Be'ezat Hashem, on Tuesday. So I'm not going to be able to be. I'm not going to be. I can't be at two places at the same time. Okay, everybody. So good morning, everybody. Let's try to. Somebody said we should finish chapter 21. Let's try to finish chapter 21, and we're going to go to the page 144. And let's try to do it. Let's try to finish this chapter and go into chapter 32, because that's where we want to head. So we'll head out
bottom left column.
And we'll go on the
bottom right column.
The right column. So the quality of this repentance will be stronger and more intense from the depth of the heart. And likewise, the joy of the soul will be with an added measure of light and joy when he will reflect in his heart and with knowledge and understand to console himself from his distress and sorrow, saying, as above, truly and without doubt, but it's not I who created myself. So why then has God done this thing? To cause a portion of his light, blessed be he, which fills and encompasses the world, and before whom everything has no account, to descend into clothing the serpent skin in the field in this future drop. It can be otherwise. It cannot be otherwise than this descent is for the purpose of an ascent. That's Yeridat Tzeidah Chaliyah. Every step down is for a step up. God does not bring an entity to come down for the sake of going down. There's no concept of negativity for its own purpose. And God would not create something negative for its own purpose. Every aspect that God creates in the world is, as we say in Pirkei Avos, that God created everything in the world for the glory of God. So how is it possible that there should be something negative for its own purpose? Everything negative, everything positive, self-sufficient is a positive purpose. And even everything negative has a positive purpose. And that's right. So the person has to say, why would the Eibishter, because the question, why is he alive? Why is a person even alive? If we believe that every Jew has a godly soul, so why would this godly soul come into my body? The same question to the godly soul, the same question you might have on yourself, why am I have this problem? Why do I have this issue? The same thing the godly soul asks, what the heck am I doing here? What do I need to come into this body? What's the purpose? I'm going to get any better? I'm going to come any holier? And the answer is yeah. The answer is yeah. Baruch Hashem. So the neshama understands. That's why once the neshama sees the beauty of a mitzvah, sees the beauty of Torah that you learn, the neshama says it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth one mitzvah in this world than all the spiritual worlds, than all the upper spiritual worlds. So we should realize that. Yesterday the Torah tells you that Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid of one thing. One thing. Never afraid in his life, but one thing. Yesterday in the portion, Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid of one thing in his lifetime, and that was Oig Melech HaBasha. Oig. And God has to tell him not to be afraid of Oig. And the Gemara says, and Rashi actually says, what was Moshe Rabbeinu afraid of Oig? He destroyed everything. He went against the Pharaoh. Why is he afraid of Oig? And because of one good thing Oig did. Because of one good thing this guy did in his life. This giant. One good thing he did. Moshe Rabbeinu understood the greatness of something good. That when somebody does something good, it's going to stand for him forever and ever. We're talking something Oig did something for Abraham over 400 years before. And Moshe Rabbeinu, 400 years later, is afraid of that good thing that Og Melech HaBashan did for Abraham. He came and told him that his nephew was taken prisoner. One guy, this Og was an evil guy, a terrible person. He did one good thing in his life, and Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid of him. For that one good thing, what did he do already? And he did that one good thing. He had evil intentions. Because he was hoping, the Gemara says, he was hoping that Abraham would go fight, which he did, and he would get killed, and he would marry his wife. So he had an agenda. His good thing even had an agenda. Nevertheless, Moshe Rabbeinu is afraid. Moshe Rabbeinu understands the greatness of one good act, even for ulterior motives. So we should realize one good act. What the power of one good deed. Allah has come for sure so many good deeds that a person does, Baruch Hashem, in his lifetime and every day. So therefore, a Jew should realize through all the negative, there's unbelievable positive. There's the good deed. There's the mitzvah you can do. Yeah, you with me? So therefore, he has to tell himself, relax, there's good deeds. Can I do a mitzvah? Yes. Can I do an act of kindness? Yes. It's all worth it. It's all worth all the tzaddas in the world for that one good deed. Because that's the purpose of what God brought me into the world for. That's the purpose why the neshama. So the neshama is told the same thing. Why would the neshama want to come down to this world? For what? It's for that good deed. That's when the neshama comes down to the world. And once the neshama, when the neshama comes down to the world into this body, and the body does a mitzvah, the neshama never wants to leave the world. That's when the neshama is forced. Bakorcha atachai, bakorcha atameis. Bakorcha atachai, the neshama doesn't want to come into the world. Bakorcha atameis, once the neshama comes into the world and it sees the power of a mitzvah, he doesn't want to leave the world. He wants to do another mitzvah.
People are afraid of dying.
People are afraid of dying because they're afraid of the unknown. Therefore, the famous story of the Frierdiker Rebbe, it's Yud Beis Tammuz, when they held a gun to his head, he said, "I'm not afraid of such a thing." A person who believes in one world and many gods is afraid of this, but a person who believes in one God and many worlds is not afraid of this. So, I have no fear of death. Most people are afraid of death because they're afraid of the unknown, and it's understandable. It's fear to unknown. Unknown is ain't simcha katoras asfeik is no greater joy when a person goes out of doubt. So when we're in doubt, we have fear.
But Rabbi, you just said there's everything God does is for the good, so,
Right.
including death. So why have?
That's it. But I'm in doubt. I don't have to worry about death. And I'm in doubt. I'm in doubt in general. I have doubt in my day-to-day life. I'm in doubt. I'm wondering where I'm going to do this. How this is going to happen? How that's going to work out? How the other thing, I'm always in doubt. I'm always in a concept of doubt, and therefore I'm in pain. I'm in suffering. If a person didn't have any doubt, if he had no doubt and he believed in God, he wouldn't have any pain and suffering. He wouldn't have any anxieties. We have anxiety because we're doubt. We don't know. We don't see any. We don't see. We want to see now. We want to see it right now. If we don't see it right now, it's not happening. And that's a very fearful thing when a person doesn't know what it's going to be tomorrow, where it's going to be tomorrow, how I'll feel tomorrow. It's always a fearful situation, and you can't blame them. And they cannot judge a person that is in doubt. It's easy to say, don't be in doubt. But a person has to ultimately come out of that doubt. So the neshama, ultimately, the beauty of the neshama, when the guf does a mitzvah, the neshama does see the greatness of the mitzvah. Like Moshe Rabbeinu saw the greatness of a good deed, the greatness of one good deed. And we say it in the Mishnah. Yafa sha'achas and truv ma'istevim. It's better one good deed in this world than all 1,000 years in the world to come.
Even though it was tainted.
Yeah, or it goes tainted. Because a good deed is a good deed, and that's it. So a person does a good deed, he should realize whether he sees it or not, what is the ramifications of his good deed. Not only now, for hundreds of years. For hundreds of years, the Torah says, I'll repay you for 2,000 generations. Your one good deed, I'll pay for 2,000 generations. So, you have to realize the power of a good deed. Now, most of us don't see the power, don't see it. A lot of times, what the expression in the world, they say, no good deed doesn't go unpunished, whatever. But, so we see actually sometimes the negative response in the good deed. So the truth is, that's why, because we're looking for a response. We're looking for the response. And really, the good deed is the godly response. It's not the response of anybody else. It's not the response of the physical. The physical might have a harsh response. And because it's an evil world and it's a struggling world, and even the good deed has a negative response. But the good deed is you do because you're godly, because you're holy. So therefore, the good deed is a godly response. And that response is unlimited and it'll last for generations. So that's what you have to tell yourself. You have to talk to your neshama, you have to talk to your guf. And you have to say no. You have to overcome this challenge of doubt, this challenge of maybe. Amalek, suffix, doubt. Amalek is the same numerical value as doubt. We have to overcome doubt, which was not an easy thing. It's easier said than done. But it's something that every Jew needs to work on. We need to work on it. And if we're not going to, you can't expect doubt to overcome by something else. Because even if something good's going to happen, it's not going to change your doubt. Because that's what humans are. So a good thing happens, so they feel good, and then 10 minutes later, they're back to the doubt. So we need to overcome doubt. We need a betachan. A Jew needs to have betachan and emunah in the Eibishter. And the more betachan and emunah you're going to have, I'll have, the more I'll be happier with what I have, with what I'm doing, with where I am, in any kind of situation that I am in. Because every situation that a person's in is self-understood. That's his physical reality. It's not a spiritual reality. No thing that a person's in is a spiritual reality. Because that can change in a moment, the spiritual reality. The physical reality maybe can't, maybe won't. But the spiritual reality, which is the true essence of each and every one of us, can be changed in a second.
That means exactly spiritual reality.
I'm a Beinani. I'm trying to be a Beinani, right? So as the Alter Rebbe says, I'm never going to lose my nature. I need to have my focus. I need to have my soul, my focus of my soul. That's it. So my body is never going to change. I'm going to be the same. I'm not becoming a tzaddik. Just because I'm going to have a positive, I'm going to force myself and press myself to have a positive reality doesn't mean I'm going to become a righteous man. I'm not going to become a righteous man. That means I'm going to have the same struggle in 10 minutes from now, and an hour from now, and in a year from now, and a day from now. I'll continue to have the same struggles. And I'm going to continue to overcome my struggles. That's the point. So it's not going to change my reality per se on the battlefield. I'm going to have the battle again. But I'm overcome it. That's it. I'm going to prove that I can overcome these battles. And that's what my job is. Loi alecha, that's why you learned the Mishnah. I said, Loi alecha amlacha ligmar. You're not obligated to finish the job. You're not a tzaddik that finishes a job. You don't have to finish a job. You don't have the right to walk away from the job. Because you're not a tzaddik. A tzaddik completes jobs. That's his job in the world, to finish jobs. My job is to be the worker bee, to do jobs, to elevate things, to develop things, transformation is not my job. It's not my job, and I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna do the best I can in my job, my field of my life. And that's what it is. That's
transformation, your job is.
No, I'm not a tzaddik. I can't transform.
The clip of
No, because the klippa is never going to go away. As much as I remove, there's always going to be some aspect of klippa there. Because I'm always going to be selfish. I'm not a tzaddik that's selfless. Always going to be a little bit selfish. And I need to work on that. You need to work on that. I need to work on that to be less selfish. But to take away self, I'm never going to be able to do that. I'm not a tzaddik to take away self.
Find selfish, like using self.
I can find selfish even for the sake of heaven. Selfless is what I do only for the sake of God.
Selfless.
That's selfless.
And selfish.
I do even for the sake of my soul is selfish.
Selfish.
Yeah,
Why?
it's my soul. Shem Shamayim is I do for the sake of God. That's it. Nothing else involved but the sake of God. Kol Masecha Yil L'Shem Shamayim. All your actions should be for the sake of heaven. Chol Dorachecha Da'ev. In all, you should know God in all your ways. That's the ultimate purpose, which we could do some things. We could do. I'm not saying you can't do everything. That's why the Rebbe says you are a tzaddik in certain things. V'amech kulam tzaddikim. We all are a tzaddik in certain things, and we're all bainim in certain things. There was sometimes we're not too good in the certain things. So we all are equal. We have all qualities, Baruch Hashem. And if you're a tzaddik in a certain thing, that's beautiful. Then you acquired that concept to be able to b'chol masechet l'shem shamayim, that everything you do has no selfish entity, it's selfless concept, has nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. Which the Eibush did put in the system. For example, you eat kosher because it's a mitzvah. That's it. There's no reason behind it. Tumah v'tara, impurity. No comprehension behind it. But it could be. We try to give a selfish reason to all this, health, and this. We're trying to give selfish reasons. Even though, why are you trying to give selfish reasons? It's a mitzvah Hashemayim. It's a mitzvah. Stop trying to give selfish reasons for any reason you're going to put into it. You're doing it because that's what God wants you to do, and finish. That's a selfless reason. Yeah.
So, first of all, two questions. One is, what is the word for selfish in Hebrew?
Gaiva.
What is it?
Gaiva.
Guide, okay. Because I thought that was arrogant.
Yeshus.
What?
In Chassidus terminology, Yeshus. Self.
No. And so,
Yesh. Self.
because when you talk about, in English at least, when you say somebody's selfish, it has an extremely negative connotation. It's not like you're selfish for your soul, because you want to go for your soul. It's like, what's mine is mine, what's yours is mine, like it's a whole different definition. So in Torah, selfish is, how's it different?
I don't know. I don't know if it's different.
You think it's the same thing?
It's the same thing. It's ego. It's ego. It's ultimately a selfish act. And the question is how much of self is involved. So you cannot, there's all kinds of levels of self. So the self becomes a klippa then. And then it becomes a yetzer hara. And then it becomes evil. It's all based on gasus, and yeshus, and on ego. So ultimately, it's based on ego. It's all an egotistical act.
If you are doing something to elevate your soul, it seems to me that would be a good thing.
It is a good thing. I'm not saying all selfishness is bad. But ultimately, you need to do l'shem shamayim, not even for the soul. You have to be done l'shem shamayim for the sake of heaven. So that's what the Gemara says. Is there a tzaddik that doesn't sin? What is the meaning? Is there a tzaddik doesn't sin? I mean, because in the concept of spirituality, you always can go higher. So it's always the lower level is a sin. So you always have to go higher. The question, why you're not going higher? Why are you not going higher? Mashiach comes, not going to be sin? Yeah, there's going to be a spiritual sin. You're not going to go and talk Lashon Hara. You're not going to go and eat treif or do something negative. But you're going to be tzaddikim that are going to also struggle in their avodah. It's a different kind of thing, right? So to go higher, to go spiritually higher. How does one go spiritually higher? So we continue the journey; it never ends. So the journey never ends. So Moshe Rabbeinu Gemara says whoever says Moshe Rabbeinu sinned is a sinner himself. He doesn't comprehend the word of sin. Moshe Rabbeinu did not sin. In his level, he could have gone higher. Like the Shani, you always go high. That's what David says. You lost in the concept of Kedusha. You didn't do a sin, but you lost in the aspect of Kedusha. The aspect of Kedusha, you could have gone higher. And to you, that's an Aveda.
But then
But
it's you die. That's the end.
no, it doesn't stop. Moshe Rabbeinu keeps on going higher. Lamaila, Kedusha, it's holiness. It keeps on going higher and higher. Lamaila. The Gemara says Moshe Rabbeinu continues to journey his journey, continue Lamaila, never ends. Tzadikim ein lahem menucha. Tzadikim, righteous people, don't have what do people say? Rest in peace. There's no peace because your neshama continues to grow. And therefore, your neshama continues to grow. That's what you say. You should have an aliyah. You should have an elevation. We want your soul not to stay in the same place because the kedusha, you need to go higher. You need to continue to journey higher and higher. Moshe Rabbeinu continues to journey higher and higher. No, it could be because of that himself.
It can't.
You cannot do a mitzvah anymore. But that's Ashamisha Balakam Talmud B'Yadei. Great is a person who comes to heaven with knowledge, because the knowledge can continue. So it's a concept of knowledge. Knowledge can continue, never ending. Knowing never ends. So the Aveda of a neshama is knowledge. Continues to bask in the glory of God, in the wisdom of HaKadosh Baruch. Cannot do a mitzvah anymore. Cannot do any good deeds. It's done with the good deeds. But he can receive. He receives the knowledge. The question is, where does he receive his reward for good deeds? And that's why it's brought down. Your reward for good deeds is Mashiach's time, when your body comes back to the world. That's really the reward for good deeds. But the reward for Torah is in Gan Eden, because knowledge never ends. So the neshama continues to learn. That's it. The neshama continues to learn. It goes higher. Whatever it learned in this world, it goes higher and higher in the knowledge of what he's learned here.
So is it the neshama that does the work?
Yeah, needs to learn. Shama is chachma. The basis of your neshama is wisdom. So it continues to happen. There's big classes up there. I don't know. I don't want to know. So the neshama continues to grow. Don't rush. Don't rush. Don't rush. Don't rush. Keep on learning. Keep on learning. So that's the thing. So the neshama, there's no rest. No rest. There's rest of gashmias.
Yeah,
There's a rest of gashmias. There's no rest of ruchnias. Actually, no sleep lamaila. There's no sleep. Over here, you can sleep, Baruch Hashem. No lamaila, no sleep. There's no nothing. It's the learning Torah. And that's it. Learning Torah, learning Torah, and learning Torah, and learning Torah, which is a beautiful thing for your neshama. So, but the neshama, the Eibush didn't create the neshama that it should have its elevation lamaila. The whole purpose of the creation of the neshama is that it should come in a guf, that it should come in the body, and it should work through the body and to elevate the body, and to make this world a better world. That was the whole purpose in the neshama. If not, there wouldn't be a purpose. There wouldn't be a purpose in this whole situation. If not, to elevate this world. So even though it's a yerida, it's a descent. The neshama comes from Gan Eden before it went back after 120 years. The neshama comes from Gan Eden. He's in a spiritual bliss. He's put into his body. He says, "What the heck am I doing here? This body is the opposite of what I am. What I am. I'm a spiritual entity. This body is full of physical realities and hang-ups and mishigas. And what do I need this for?" So, every descent is for an ascent. Every descent is for an ascent. There's no purpose in descent if it's not for an ascent. And that's why it's said, if an neshama comes down to the world, it doesn't have an ascent. If it came down to the world, it continues to have a descent. So therefore, the truth is that a Jew needs to find that there's an ascent every day in his life. There's a purpose of his neshama. Why the neshama came down to the world? That's why one mitzvah is it's ascent. And therefore, mitzvah baliyatcha, every mitzvah that you can do it. Why? Because that's really the purpose of my neshama. Again, it's not going to change per se the physical reality of the world and the tzaddas that you might be having. But the one mitzvah you're going to do is the whole purpose of my neshama. And mitzvah geredes mitzvah, hopefully. One mitzvah will drag another mitzvah. You'll be busy doing mitzvahs. You'll forget about the tzaras. Because you'll be busy doing good deeds. Because you'll realize that that's really the whole purpose of the neshama. The struggles that I have is all there, my Yetzer Hara, trying to get me off of the purpose of my neshama. And as fast as shalom, I'm allowing it to be victorious over me, over the situation. So my nefesh Bahamas is victorious, and now my neshama didn't have its ascent. That's the Tanya. You should read the Tanya of the day. A couple of days, the Alter Rebbe explains a very deep concept, the concept of mitzvah. That a mitzvah is to bring light of God into the world. Every mitzvah, and once of his man about the Kabbalah, that once a day passes, you can never bring it back. You can never bring back time. And every mitzvah is connected. Most mitzvahs are connected, especially mitzvahs, maises, mitzvahs, say, positive command, they're connected to time. So you didn't give tzedakah today, you didn't give tzedakah today. Nobody can bring back today. Tomorrow, giving double tzedakah is not going to help for today. You didn't put on film today. You didn't whatever, make a bracha today. You didn't, whatever it might be. The day passes, it's not possible to bring it back. You can do tshuva, but you cannot bring back the day. So the avodah, my neshama came down today, chas shalom, is lost. Can't bring back today. And we should realize that's why I said, a mitzvah comes to your hand, do it right away. Yetzer Hara is going to say, do it in 10 minutes. Do it later. What's the rush? And that's the Yetzer Hara, procrastinating. It will procrastinate, and then the day will pass, and you won't do it. You wouldn't have done it. And what's the chaval? Oh, you'll say, I'll give double tomorrow. Double tomorrow is not going to help what the oir havaya, the godliness that needed to come to the world today. So that's the situation. It cannot be otherwise than the descent for a purpose of an ascent. So every day you wake up in the morning today, you thank God to give me back a neshama. So if I thank God for giving me back my neshama, so now I have to think, what was the purpose of neshama came down today? Not what he's going to do tomorrow. I'll say Moedana again tomorrow. Why my neshama came down the wheel today? I said, I thank the Eibishter for giving me my neshama. What was the purpose of my neshama? I know what my body's purpose, to eat and this and go out, go shopping and go to the beach. I don't know how many things I got to do with my body for today, to be happy today. But what was the purpose of my neshama to come down to the wheel today? What was its purpose? Yeah.
Does this also apply to the prayer like swiftness? We need to act swift as
100%. 100%. We need to act as swift as an eagle. 100%. Because the time never comes back. What did King Solomon say? Adam doeg al mamonai, bein doeg al zmanei. People are worried about their money. They're not worried about their time. Money ultimately doesn't help. Time doesn't come back. Yep. So the Rebbe continues and it says, let's try to finish this chapter, please. To raise God to the vital, so that's the point. It cannot otherwise then to this ascent for the purpose of ascent. What's the purpose of ascent? To raise up to God the whole vital animal soul, which is a klippus neiga, and all her garments, namely her faculty of thought, speech, and action, raise it up, make it better. Through their being enclosed in act, speech, and thought of Torah. That's it. The Eibishter gave you all the vessels. He gave you a neshama. He gave you all the tools. He didn't let you there empty-handed. He gave you all the tools to be able to simply do a mitzvah, to be able to simply take your body and do a mitzvah. Again, it's going to elevate the body. It's going to change it, maybe not. Elevate it, 100% sure. As for the meaning of this ascent, we're finishing how this is the ultimate purpose of creation of the world will be later explained at length. If this is so, so first it's established a fact. What is Torah? What's a neshama? What's a guf? And what's Torah? There's a neshama that comes into the world. There's a guf that it comes into, and there's a Torah that helps push it for the neshama to elevate this body, to elevate this guf, to make this guf better. And through the elevation of the guf, the neshama will also receive its elevation.
What's a better guf look like?
What?
What is a better guf look
There's
like?
no better guf. Wait, what's better?
To make
Oh.
guf, what does that mean?
Better, more spiritual, more focus, less indulgence. Again, it's less self. that's a better guf.
Selfish, what we want.
It's good.
No self.
We want spiritual self, godly selfishness, not ego selfishness.
Other directed.
Correct.
What did you say?
What does ego stand for? Edging God out. That's ego. Edging God out.
Wait, so what does good selfish look like?
Godly pride.
Give like an example.
Going Yaakov. I'm proud to be a Jew. I walk in the street like a Jew. I don't hide my Judaism.
Yeah.
I know, a young guy told me he's going to Europe. I said, he's going to get a hat. No, walk with your yarmulke. Walk with your yarmulke. No, walk with your yarmulke.
That's dangerous.
It's not dangerous. Walk with your yarmulke. You cannot go, you cannot, that's when danger takes over. You cannot start hiding your Yiddishkeit. Can't do that. That gives into the evil and creates more evil. That's exactly what they want to do. It's exactly what they want to do. They want to create that you should hide your Yiddishkeit. You should just disappear. You can't allow that. Then don't go. If it's no dangers, don't go. But to go and hide your Yiddishkeit, why? Go and walk with your Yiddishkeit out. You can't give into evil. You give into evil, it becomes more evil. It's a mistake of people. They think give into evil, come less evil. Doesn't work that way. If this is so, there's one thing for me to do. And this will be my sole aim all the days of my earthly life, is to fully occupy therein the life in the spirit of the soul. That's it. Right? Because that's the whole purpose. Everything else is pashit, all there for that purpose. It's all there for that purpose. You're going someplace, that's the purpose. What do you think you're going there for? You think you're going there for the bodily comfort. You're going there because your neshama is going with you. And your neshama needs to shine there as it shines here. The Rebbe would always say we have to get out of the Egypt mentality. We are still in the Egypt mentality. This Egypt mentality, we're afraid, we think that we have to deal with evil, and all. We got to get out of the Egypt mentality. Even the concept that evil brings out good. Oh, it's Egypt mentality. Egypt mentality. We have to. There's no concept of we have to push it, do good, and we have to get rid of evil. That's it. We cannot live with this evil mentality. We have to break that mentality. We've got to get out of Egypt. Got to get out of Egypt. Surely when it comes to another Jew is bad. It's Egypt. That's an Egypt mentality. You're living in Egypt. You even talk about yourself, you're bad. You're living in an Egypt mentality. You want to live in an Egyptian mentality? That's it. You go to Mitzrayim. Look at the desert. The Jewish people kept on saying, let's go back to Egypt. You still want to go back to Egypt. So wake up, open your eyes, get out of Egypt already, and start living a Gula mentality. Start living a redemption mentality. Start having a positive mentality. You'll see, the more you'll have a positive mentality, you'll see it change things. You'll leave Egypt. You want to live in Egypt? That's your free choice. Live in Egypt, live in the past, live in constrictions, live in doubt, live in struggle. That's your life. Gesundheit. Nobody's gonna close down because another person wants to live in a Jewish mentality. People separate themselves from people. People separate themselves from people who are negative, people that are not positive people. So we all need to leave this Egyptian mentality, this slavery mentality, this victim mentality. The Abish took us out of Mitzrayim. God took us out of Mitzrayim. So therefore, we're not anymore in Mitzrayim. We're not anymore in victims. So when we're victims, we're victimizing ourselves. Nobody's victimizing us. We're victimizing ourselves.
People are victims.
I'm not talking about not talking about that. I'm talking about doubt. When a person goes through doubt, his personal self-doubt, he's victimizing himself. I'm not talking about children. I'm talking about adults, us. We victimize ourselves. We carry around hate. We carry around doubt. All these are victimizing ourselves. If I wouldn't feel like a victim, nobody could make me a victim. Nobody will be able to make me a victim. What do I care about what somebody said or what somebody did? I wouldn't care. Who could hurt me if who can hurt me if I'm clear who I am and what I stand? Who can hurt me? Nobody. Nobody. That somebody else can hurt me is because I know myself that I'm not perfect. That's it. If I am clear who I am, nobody can hurt me. Nobody. I'm not talking about a guy come punches you. I'm not talking about that. Nobody can hurt you emotionally. Nobody will be able to hurt you emotionally. And you would not be able to hurt another person emotionally. But we all struggle with that because we all are in self-doubt. We are not so clear who we are. And therefore, the Alter Rebbe says, be clear who you are. Be clear what you came to the world for. Be clear. Don't be in doubt of who you are. You're a Jew. You're a neshama that came to the world to bring godliness to the world. That's who you are. That's who you are. And therefore, that's it. Are there going to be bumps in the road? Yeah, but that's not who I am. If there's a bump in the road, somebody tells me something or something happens to me, that's not who I am. Yeah, I'm in the world, so there's going to be bumps in the world. That's life. I'm not living in a bubble. I'm living in the world. So there's tzaddis, and there's going to be struggles, but it's not who I am.
Edith Aker, who was in the concentration camps, she was talking about like victimization, and she said that nobody victimized her because she was in charge of her own thoughts about it.
That's it.
Even
That's
though
it.
they did what they did.
Yeah, you can't control. She was out of control of that. Frierdiker Rebbe said that, when he said the same thing. He said the same thing. You can take the body into exile, you can't take the soul.
How long was he in prison again?
He was in prison ultimately for 10 days, but he was condemned to death first. And then he was, they changed it to prison. But on his way to prison, we're supposed to be there 3 years of hard labor, which I hope, when they send you to hard labor, it's basically you die in that time because they didn't give you food and they worked you to death. He said you can take the body into exile, you can't take the soul. You can't take a Jew into exile anymore. You take the body, yeah, you take the body into exile. That's true. They beat him up, they paralyzed him. So he understood the reality of this world. He understood it clear. But he said, fine, that's the body. Self-understood. The world can affect the body. The world can hurt the body. You can't hurt the soul. You cannot hurt the soul. And by me, my soul, they once asked him, Fidik Rebbe, you can imagine, Stalin, Yamach Shemoy, killed more people than Hitler. You know, Stalin killed his own people, like 20 million. There's between 20 and 40 million people he killed. There's a big, there's a competition between him and the guy from China, Mo. You know, he killed 50 million people, whatever. It's like unbelievable. It was, and he killed his people the most roughest way. He starved them to death. Millions of people starved to death. Millions of people in Russia and Russia starved his people. It's crazy. So there was only one person who stood up against him. That was the Frierdiker Rebbe, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, stood up against Stalin. You imagine? He stood up against Stalin. Came the guy to kill was the Frierdiker Rebbe. How are we gonna kill him? How are we gonna get it? Because he stood up against Stalin. He was the only Jew, the only rabbi in that time who stood up against openly and publicly against Stalin. They asked him. They once came to Frierdiker Rebbe and they said to him, "How do you have a chutzpah to stand up against this guy? This guy's a mass murderer. You think he'll kill you? You'll be dead in a second." That's why that you realize in that situation, the Frierdiker Rebbe was like suddenly went through a system that he was punished to death and he was changed. It's miraculous. It was a miracle above miracles. Killed people like it was no tomorrow. Humans were not important to him at all. So what was the Frierdiker Rebbe to him? Nothing. Actually, it was a bump in the road to him. It was a hurtful thing to him. He was out to get him. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said. So they said to the Frierdiker Rebbe, "I talking you have this, you're putting yourself." The Frierdiker Rebbe said, I don't care about stuff. That's not my job. That's God's job. God's job. My job is Yiddishkeit, goodness and kindness and spirituality. That's my job. That's my job. I do my job. Stalin is not my issue. This evil is not my problem. That the Eibishter brings this evil person and does it. Maybe that's God's issue, and let God take care of his issues. My job, my neshama didn't come to fight with Stalin or fight with anybody. My neshama came to bring light to the world, bring godliness to the world, bring Torah. That's my job. I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job. And who was ultimately victorious? The Frierdiker Rebbe was ultimately victorious in this fight. He opened up schools, he opened up mikvahs, everything that he closed, he opened up. He had to open up everything clandestine, but he opened up everything that Stalin closed, he opened. So, and he opened and he sent people to places, and the schools kept on going, and the shuls kept on going, and the mikvahs kept on going. And that's what he did. And he did it Mesiras Nefesh. Not only did it, the people that helped him, but did it Mesiras Nefesh. Many of them, most of them were captured and killed. So the Frierdiker Rebbe, when he was doing, he said, this is a victory not for me. This is a victory for Yiddishkeit. This is a victory for Yiddishkeit. That communism should free me is a victory for Yiddishkeit. They don't realize what that meant. It took many years for communists ultimately to realize that you cannot crush the soul. You cannot crush God. You want to crush the body of a Jew? You can do that. But you can never crush the soul. Cannot. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's impossible to happen. Well, right now, there's Chabad house all over Russia. This Chabad house is all over Russia. They're lighting the menorah on the Kremlinsk. It's not perfect, but whatever. They're lighting the menorah on Kremlinsk. So he's turning over in his grave. So he tried to crush Judaism. You can't crush Yiddishkeit. You can't crush God. You can't crush a soul. So, Baruch Hashem, we don't have that Mesiras Nefesh and the Frierdiker Rebbe. We don't have those kind of troubles, Baruch Hashem. We have our own troubles. The Frierdiker Rebbe, these Jews, you should realize that Stalin, Yamach Shemai, crushed Yiddishkeit. There are millions of Jews that don't even know they're Jews because of Stalin. Not only in Russia, but all over the world. They don't know because he partially eradicated Yiddishkeit in many ways. There were Jews that were brought up, they don't even know they're Jews. Because they were not taught that they were Jews, they were taught communism. So, Chas v'shalom, he did accomplish. Like Hitler, Yimach Shemai, you know, he hurt Jews in many, many ways, and it's felt until today. Even though he didn't accomplish his vision, but he did accomplish to hurt Jews, and the pain and suffering of Hitler is felt until today, on many, many levels. You know, we're all children of survivors. It's all, we all feel this fear and this thing. He affected it. He affected Yiddishkeit, and that's reality, because we're human beings. We're not angels. And he affected Yiddishkeit. He affected Jews. There are millions of Jews he killed, and great tzaddikim, and so did Stalin. Did the same thing. And there are millions of Russian Jews that don't even, till today, don't even know they're Jewish. Have no idea they're Jewish. You don't even know how many Jews there are in Russia. The same thing that happened in Spain. What do you think the church, when it went against Yiddishkeit, didn't affect Yiddishkeit? It did. There are a million, who knows what the number is, that might be walking around Jews. They don't even know that they're Jews. They have ancestors that are Jews. We know that's a fact. That's happening right today. So the effect of what they did 1,000 years ago is still affected until today. We feel that effect. The Yidden feel that effect. Imagine if Yidden didn't go through Holocausts or Inquisitions or Stalins, there would be, first of all, Yiddishkeit would look different today. Yeah, whatever. It goes on and on and on. It goes on and on and on. So it's truly a miracle that we're here today. If you think about it,
Yeah.
it's truly a miracle that we're all here today, and that we still walk around as Jews, and we still have Sfarim, and we still daven and learn and do everything today. And it's truly a miraculous event.
We're blessed.
It's a miraculous event. Yeah, it never ends. Never ends. Never ends. Not gonna end. Not gonna end until Mashiach comes. Then there'll be peace in the world.
Yeah.
Yep. So therefore, let's end it. I wanted for Elliot to end this chapter. See, Elliot, I'm thinking of it, even though you're far away from me. Okay. So as it's written, all right, the
I'm
days
under
of
your skin.
to fully
your
occupy
fingernails.
therein life, yes, and in my of the spirit of soul, as it's written, to you, the Lord, I lift my soul. That is to say, to bind my thought and my speech with his thought and his speech. Blessed be he, which is the very law which we have been set before us, and likewise my actions in the performance of commandments. For this reason, the Torah describes as restoring the soul. The Torah says, the Torah expresses it as we meshivas nefesh, restoring the soul. We ask the Eibush to restore our soul. What do you mean restore our soul? Our soul is weighed down by the body and all the physical things, and all this craziness that's happening in the world. We need a breath. We need to take a breath. We need to give a breath to the soul. We need to restore our soul. We also need to give ourselves that even the body and all the heaviness of the body and all the thought. Take a breath. Relax. Take a deep breath. Meshivas nefesh. Give yourself a breath. Give yourself a breather. Give yourself a godly breather. Do something for the sake of God. Go out of self a little bit. Go out of self. Give yourself a godly breather. Give yourself. Do it l'shem. Can you do something? Do something l'shem shamayim. Right? Even though you don't do something for the sake of heaven. Anything.
About you, but I think a lot of us think that we are doing that.
Beautiful.
So there's
Do it better. Do it better. Do it better. Do it besimcha. Do it better. Do it with passion. Do it with excitement. Do it better. If good is better, not better. Every mitzvah you do, which you do, Baruch Hashem, you do it l'shem Shemai, do it better. Did you do it with great joy? How much joy did you have in it? How much excitement? How much passion? Can you have more passion? You learned out at the beginning of Tanay. Ish be'esh. That's how are you doing with a fire? Does the room become warm when you walk in? Is there a limit to passion of God? Is there a limit to fire? Is there a limit to excitement? Do it more. Do it with more excitement. Do it with more passion. And this, the reason the scribes are restoring the soul, restoring to its source, to its root. Give the neshama an uplift. Give your neshama a lift. Just like a person, you worry about your body to give it a lift. Give my neshama a lift.
Like a facelift.
Uplift him. Uplift him. Your neshama. The biggest sadness is that your neshama came into your body, and now it's dealing with the body. Give it a lift. Give your neshama, just like you care about your body. I should care about my neshama because that's the real purpose why I came down here, is for the sake of my neshama. Give it a lift. Give it a facelift.
Yes.
Give it a smile. God, give it a smile. Give it a smile. Give it a passion. Give it some happiness. Give it some life. Give it. Right? You can do a mitzvah. You can do it with passion. You can do it with the ava. You can do it with life. Concerning this, it's written, the precepts of the Lord's are right, rejoicing of the heart. Samchei lev. Yisharim. That's a pub. Good Hashem. Yisharim is samchei lev. The mitzvah of the Eibishter are good, but they make the gladness of the heart. They make you happy. They make you happy. Not only you do a mitzvah, you do a mitzvah with happiness. That is giving a hug your soul. When you do it with joy, you're giving a hug in the neshama, which is what you should do. That's what your whole life should be, hugging in the neshama. So at least you give it a moment of satisfaction. Give it a moment of joy. Give it a moment. You're right. There's tzadis, there's a lot of headaches, and they're going to go back to the news, and there's a lot of, we know, 100%. But give it away. Stop for a moment. Give your neshama some joy. Because that's what your real purpose in life is. Say l'chaim if you have to. Zaga l'chaim. And drink a little bit. Make yourself, if you have alcoholic problems, don't. If you drink a little bit, make yourself happy. Give your neshama some joy. There's nothing greater than to give the neshama some joy in life. So God bless you all.
What about ice cream? Is that giving?
Yeah, if that gives you neshama some joy, because you make a bracha, you can make a bracha on ice cream, Baruch Hashem, a bracha Rishayna, a bracha Achrayna. I can make a first bracha. I'm not gonna have some ice cream. Nothing. The ice cream is like anything else in the world. There's nothing. God has nothing against ice cream. Neither he has against chicken, nor he has against vegetables. Everything is creation by God, and you should do it l'shem shamayim to make a bracha. Everything can be done l'shem shamayim for the sake of heaven to make a bracha. There's no question about it. Why not? The neshama came down to the physical. It wants to do physical, so that's its purpose. If it didn't do,
That's making a shock.
100%. I forgot who was it said that. I think the Baditcha said that. I think it was the Baditcha. Don't take me. He said that he sees in Rembrandt the first day of creation, the Oir Hashem. He sees the light of God in a painting. It's known that tzaddikim, great righteous people, used to go and look at paintings. The Frierdiker Rebbe went to the Louvre and sat there for hours and looked at the painting. You should, everything you call Mashabara, everything that the Eibishter created in the world, Rembrandt and Picasso, is always created for God's glory. It's hard maybe for us to understand it, but if you are a godly individual, maybe you see the Maisa, you see the real soul. That's why you see the real soul in the picture. God bless you all.